Okay, today I want to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2 and why it's a really good game and more importantly where it fails sadly. There's a lot of issues with Red Dead Redemption 2 that people just do not wish to talk about sadly. Um, where do I start? I think I should start off with the positive stuff because Red Dead Redemption 2 grew very close to my heart. Like I played it, I think just when it came out, like on Steam in 2020. I think it was 2020 as far as I remember. Maybe 2021, or one of those two. It doesn't matter, right? So I played it. I played it for like 30, 40 hours, and it was just a little bit too slow for me. And remember, I was like 19, 20 years old when this came out. Um, then I replayed it a year after. Like I tried to I don't know, like I was bored and I was looking for games to play and I saw a lot of people hyping up Red Dead 2 again. And I was like, okay, yeah, well, let's give it a try. Then I got into the story again and I was like, okay, something's missing because I was playing from my save game I saved like a year ago, right? So I was like, okay, let's replay it and let's see what this is all about. Like because I don't think that I was paying a lot of attention to the characters when I was 19, 20 years old. Like if you're 19, 20 years old, like I'm 23, right? It's not like I aged a crazy amount since I've first played Red Dead Redemption 2. Um, but it's like you're in a different, like so much happens in your 20s that that it actually matters. Like 1 year in your 20s matters. 225 matters a lot, I think, because there's so much development going on in your brain. So long story short, I just replayed it and when I was 20 years old, and I loved it. Right, I loved it to death. There were a lot of issues though, a lot of issues that just came to mind once I replayed it when I was 23 years old. That was like a month ago when I finished Red Dead Redemption 2, and a lot with it is sadly gameplay design, which I usually say that gameplay doesn't really matter to me in a story game, but the problem with Red Dead 2 is that there is so much additional gameplay to it. Um, as I said, I'll start off with the positive. The positive is that the story is just absolutely phenomenal. The story is just absolutely. It's not even phenomenal. It's exceptional. It's like I wouldn't put it as good as Witcher 3 because Witcher 3 is just so close to my heart. But that's just I think that's just a subjective opinion of mine, right? Like you could probably look at it objectively and say Red Dead 2 is the better story, but for me it's just Witcher 3 all the way. N- Nevertheless, the story of Red Dead 2 is exceptional. The character development that's going on in Arthur's head is just so absolutely, like you can just watch it from every main mission, from every side mission, the decisions you make. You kind of build your own Arthur with the decisions you make, right? With the honor system and whatever. And I love that. I love it actually being a redemption, like the like the uh like the title of the game suggests, right? I love it actually him redempting. Is it redempting? I don't know. My English is not my first language. I actually love him redempting himself and doing the right thing in the end, and it becoming clear in the end for him. As House put it, for instance, almost dying changes nothing. Dying changes everything. I know that's like a kind of a stupid quote to just throw out there, I guess, to but you know what I mean. Like him dying makes him realize what kind of decisions he made in life, right? And what led him down this path, and it's so beautiful to watch. It's so beautiful to watch. I love that about Red Dead. The problem is there is a lot. It's not just the main story here going on. It's also a lot of side content. And this is a personal gripe. Maybe I'm just an old fuck who complains about video games nowadays. But the problem with video games nowadays is there's so much filler content. There's so much stupid filler content, which kind of ruins it for me. Like just the thought of there being a side mission of me collecting 30 different herbs or collecting 30 different pelts from animals, just it doesn't ruin the game for me, but it bothers me a lot because it's just such a stupid filler quest that accomplishes nothing about character. Like if there's like 30 if there's like 50 side missions about Arthur and him helping people, that's a different kind of story, right? Because you decide to be that kind of Arthur to help other people. But there's so many side missions that take so much time from the main story. And if you're like a gamer who likes to like 100% the game or whatever, or like wants to complete side missions or whatever, you'll be super disappointed. You'll be super disappointed by the side missions in the game. I think side missions in the game matter a lot, just as in a movie side characters matter a lot. Like you need to give your side characters and your side missions characterization, and that's for instance what Witcher 3 did perfectly, absolutely phenomenally. Where they gave stakes in an enclosed story, right? You're not gonna follow up the story, but what you do matters to the people in the world, and it just felt like it didn't really with the side missions in Red Dead 2. Um, I think also the gameplay is very outdated. I think it's very outdated. The shooting mechanics, for instance, are just so outdated, sadly. And it bothers me so much to say this because I love this game. I love Red Dead. I played it for 300 hours. But it's just, if you're gonna be honest with yourself, it's the same gameplay mechanics as Red Dead 1, right? If you're gonna be honest with yourself, it's literally the same gameplay, right? There's nothing going on in the gameplay departments of Red Dead 2. And sadly, that takes up like 50% of the game because you'll be riding your horse through the sorry because you'll be riding your horse through the landscape, which is beautiful. Like the environmental sounds are maybe even better than Witcher 3's, right? And that's so and they do absolutely nothing with it. You have a quest where you collect 30 dinosaur bones, which you will never find, except if you watch a YouTube video. What kind of gameplay is that, Rockstar? You don't. Why would you want that kind of gameplay in your story-driven game? I don't understand. It's so strange to me. Who, which person made the decision to put 20 dream catchers into the game and say, yeah, say to the player, yeah, go collect those because why, why not, right? You can still ignore those, but at the end of the day, you're still a guy sitting in front of a PC, reading your log, being engaged in the story, and then you're gonna get a quest of catching 20 dream catchers, right? Like you gotta be aware of that, and it's bad. It's really bad. And usually, like the strangest side missions, except for like one or two, are like just fun little ones. Like I remember like helping this painter, um, uh, helping this painter to just escape like the uh, families with whose wife he cheated on, right? Like it's so strange. Like those side missions, there's a lot of side missions that don't mean anything, right? I love side missions where it actually matters. Like for instance, if Arthur helps a nun, right, and it kind of changes like the interaction he has at the train station instead of like Swanson and the nun. Like those side, give me more of those where Arthur is actually trying to be a good human being, right? Or John is trying to be a good human being instead of fucking fun little quests where he chases a little a guy with dwarfism through the forest, right? It because those don't matter, right? You can still have a few of those, like you can have one or two fun side missions, but essentially, like your side missions won't mean anything if there's just an abundance of them being absolutely fucking meaningless to the character or to the story, right? And it's super sad to see, and it's super sad to think about because, as I said, I love the story of Red Dead Redemption 2, but the everything around it is just absolutely mid. Absolutely mid. Like, I have no better word to describe it other than mediocre, right? And that's so sad for me. Um, as I said, gameplay is very outdated. Um, you have the Deadeye mechanic, which you had in Red Dead 1. It's just shooting mechanics. There's nothing really, and there's a lot of time waste in the story for no reason whatsoever. Because, for instance, when you're at camp, you have those chores you can do, like, for instance, get fill up the water bucket and fill up the water in a basket, right? And it's just, it doesn't matter if you do it or not. It's fun, right? But there's nothing really, like, the characters don't react to it. The characters don't care. Like, the camp characters are absolutely phenomenal. Like, every side character is so good. It's so good. They have personalities. They're so good as side characters. But there's so much filler content, which I hate about in video games. I hate it so much. Like, if I think back to, for instance, Spider-Man, there's also so much filler content. There's so much, like, for instance, the backpacks you collect in Spider-Man 1. There's pigeons you have to. Why do game devs put that in video games? Cyberpunk had so much filler content that it fucking made me throw up, right? The fucking merc quest, the mercenary quests. Why? You just go in and shoot people. It's just the same every single time you do it, and it doesn't mean anything. And it's so sad to think about that game devs rather opt out on, because I call those Ubisoft quests, right? Those are absolutely Ubisoft quests, right? They do absolutely nothing except give you money, right? And do absolutely nothing and have, and the game devs hope you have like even though, like, for instance, like, I still kind of enjoyed the quests, the mercenary quests in Cyberpunk, because you kind of had characters talking and you had your own gameplay style. You could, like, you leveled up from that, and you could, like, approach it from different angles, the merc quests, right? But in Red Dead you don't have that. You just have to, you just go in and shoot people, and that's it. Like, I don't mean that the world of Red Dead 2 is dead or anything. Like, it's full of alive characters. Like, if you go riding through Saint Denis, you'll notice it, right? It's just an alive city, and the environmental sounds are so well done. But I hate to say it, but instead of putting, like, all the resources in Red Dead Online, why not put it into the single player, which is your absolutely uh, which you want to go for. I think Rockstar is just super greedy. Was just super greedy with Red Dead 2 and thought they could, like, milk it like they're milking GTA 5 still, right? And I just wish. I just wish it was better, man. I just wish I didn't have to think about collecting 500 dinosaur bones, and yeah. Let me, like, the animations, everything about the animation is so realistic, but why have such realistic animations in there if you just have, if it's just pretty much a cutscene? It's just a cutscene just that you watch every single time you want to interact. Like, it doesn't add anything to the game. It adds, like, oh cool, for the first 20 times, but then you're like, okay, let's go with the gameplay. I want to loot this. Okay, let's go on with the gameplay. I want to loot this body. Okay, let's go on with the gameplay. I want to loot another body. Okay, sure. And it's just, I love the game, but at the same time I hate it. And I think this is what the channel is about. It's not about just talking about perfect stuff, because you don't need to talk about perfect stuff, right? You need to talk about the stuff that has issues, and I think I kind of figured out what the channel is about, right? So, you guys have a good one. You guys have a good night, a good morning, a good noon, whatever. Have a good meal. Doesn't matter to me, really. I'm gonna throw myself into the bed because it's almost 4 a.m. You guys have a good one. All right. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.